Hello and welcome to Solent Sport News. Coming up on today's programme, Arise Sir Lewis calls for Hamilton to be knighted after his record equalling weekend in F1. An action-packed weekend of Women's Super League football, but find out why Southampton aren't allowed to play. We're live from their home ground. Also on the show, our online workout's here to stay, the lockdown trend which is getting more people active. Good evening. Could a knighthood be heading Lewis Hamilton's way? The 35-year-old claimed his 7th World Championship after victory at the Turkish Grand Prix. Former world champion Damon Hill said that the Mercedes driver couldn't do anything else to deserve this honour.
He's got this natural talent which is unquantifiable. It's very difficult for anyone to beat him. If I was the Prime Minister, I would definitely give him a knighthood. I don't see why he doesn't deserve one. What do you have to do? I think his courage in promoting things that matter on the much bigger picture than just our sport makes him a credible candidate for that.
England's hopes of returning to the UEFA Nations League final came to an end as they were beaten 2-0 by Belgium. First half strikes by Yuri Tielemans and Dries Mertens proved to be decisive against an England side who were without Raheem Sterling and Marcus Rashford. Manager Gareth Southgate maintains that himself and his squad have learnt a lot despite failing to qualify for the Nations League finals.
Well, I think we've shown that we can compete, and I think we've seen that there isn't much between ourselves and Belgium. I think there are some other outstanding teams around Europe. France have obviously qualified last night against Portugal, who are another top side. It's so competitive. 4 European teams made the last 4 of the World Cup. 3 different ones qualified for the last 4 of the last Nations League. Looks like 3 different ones again will qualify for this Nations League. That sums up how competitive Europe is.
Women's football has become increasingly popular within the UK. The 2019 FIFA Women's World Cup sparked a new record for the England sides with their semi-final loss watched by 11.7 million. However, since COVID-19 struck, women's football has been hugely disrupted. To find out why, we cross over to Amy, who's live at Southampton.
Thank you, Kurt. Now, I'm stood outside AFC Tottenham's ground. Now, this is where Southampton women would normally be playing. However, due to the second lockdown, their games have been suspended. Due to playing in the 4th division, their games have been stopped, and they are not classed as elite level. I got the reaction from Adam White. Adam is the social media content officer for Southampton about the stoppage.
For them, because they picked up some good momentum at the start of the season. I spoke to Marianne a couple of days ago, who's the head coach of the team, and she said it's something they just have to deal with. They're at home with their own personal training regimes that they're doing. They have Zoom calls 2 or 3 times a week to keep up their fitness. But yeah, it's just something they're going to have to learn to deal with. It's frustrating, as I say, because it hampers their momentum. But Marianne referred to it as, look at it like a short break instead, because this type of thing can happen at their sort of level anyway, with pitch cancellations and postponements and stuff like that. So yeah, they're learning to deal with it, and hopefully it won't be as long as the last time, really.
6 of the men's divisions can continue to play their games during this lockdown. However, only 2 of the women can. One of those being Arsenal. Now, Arsenal play in the WSL. This is the top women's league in the UK. Due to this being classed as elite level, they can continue to play their games. Aidan Small, club reporter from Arsenal, explains that there is a difference between expectation and reality.
We need to approach it from 2 perspectives. The first of which is our hopes and ambitions for how women's football should be viewed and played in this country. And second is the reality of women's football in this country. Now, what I mean by reality is that there is only one professional division in the English women's football pyramid. Compare that to the men and it is a totally different story. The reason why I'm bringing this up is that no doubt facilities, funding and the measures and procedures in place that are required for play to resume safely at this moment in time aren't able to be correctly applied further down in the women's football pyramid. That would be the reality of the situation. But in terms of our hopes and expectations, is this okay? Absolutely not. You can only imagine how disheartening it is for those women's players further down in the pyramid to feel like they're not considered, I guess, of a worthy standard to resume playing at this moment in time. And you know, going forwards, this is something that absolutely needs to be corrected. And perhaps it speaks of wider volumes and brings up a further discussion about the lack of funding further down in the women's football pyramid.
That all leagues would be treated differently. However, it's very clear that women's football still needs time to be seen on the same page and the same pedestal as the men. Back to you in the studio, Kurt.
Thanks, Amy. Arsenal are the first Premier League club to join the UN's Climate Action Plan. The framework is aiming to use sport as a tool to create solidarity against the globe for the fight against climate change. The club's operations director explains that the Gunners are working towards keeping global temperatures from rising well below 2 degrees this century. Despite setting a record time, swimmer Adam Peaty wasn't satisfied with his recent performance. Peaty said that he wasn't at his best after establishing the 100 metres record at the International Swimming League in Budapest. The Brit secured the win with a time of 55.49 seconds, breaking the previous record of 55.61 held by South African Cameron van der Burg. Dustin Johnson claimed the green jacket over the weekend after his triumph at the Masters. World number one's win by 20 under par set a new tournament record, beating the previous record of 18 set by Tiger Woods in 1997. Johnson recovered from a somewhat shaky start to card an impressive final round of 68 at Augusta National.
I mean, today was a very difficult day. I felt, getting off, got off to a pretty good start. Even bogeying 4 and 5, I still, didn't let it bother me. I hit nice putts. I gave myself, I had good looks at par on both the holes and hit good putts. And then hit a great shot in the 6, made a birdie. That kind of obviously helped the nerves a little bit.
In the light of the second lockdown, the sports industry has had to adapt to survive. Many organisations and facilities have found a new home in the online world. Sam Clark reports.
The second national lockdown has caused gyms and fitness studios to close across the country. While some facilities are struggling and even protesting against the closures, others are adapting and thriving in a new world for the fitness industry.
I had a couple of weeks of trying to decide what to do, then made the decision with lots of support from my network around me to start running stuff online for free. And it progressed from there, really. It became obvious really quickly that people were loving it. I mean, I was getting massive numbers on Zoom sessions. People needed it. It seemed like the obvious thing to do for me was to make the transition to operating to an online facility.
Traditionally, Physique Boutique's client base has been limited to their local community, but the move to online has allowed them to expand worldwide.
I've always been Southampton based, actually based in Bitton Park for the last 9 years. But whilst I was operating classes during our first lockdown and doing those for free, I literally had people jumping on from all over the world. So I had people in New Zealand, I had people in Dubai. It was incredible.
It's not only the fitness industry that has needed to adapt during lockdown. The LGBT football community, who normally celebrate pride events like this, have also struggled over the course of the year. But some of the individuals behind Football versus Homophobia found a solution to this problem.
We ended up talking about, wouldn't it be great if there was some sort of virtual pride activity? And then it quite quickly got around to, wouldn't it be great if there was some sort of football pride? I think possibly Lou suggested it. So then we said, who'd be up for being involved? And a few of us said, yeah. And then we had a call in a couple of days. And that was kind of how Football Pride got started, really.
With around 50 events over the 12-hour period, Football Pride had something for everyone, and events of this style hold many benefits specifically for the LGBTQ community.
of course, it gives people an opportunity to access content in a more anonymous way, you know. So you tune into some stuff from the privacy of your own home, then it's a way to start engaging with subjects and with issues in a gentle way, I suppose. You know.
With many within the sporting industry thriving online, we may see this be the new way of the world even beyond the pandemic. Sam Clark, Solent Sports News.
That's all for now. Have a good evening.